Pull my heart out of my chest, train my mind so I forget. Sink your teeth into my bones, dig me out and fill the hole. Tear me apart, tear me apart, apart, apart. Tear me apart, tear me apart, apart, apart. All that's left is a window to my soul. Come and get it. Swallow down your jacket thin. Let it drown inside my veins. Sweetest poison I can take. You make it an art. The way that you start with every word. But before we reach the end, strip me down again. Come and get it one more time. Oh, if you wanna lose your mind. Oh, come and get it one more time. Oh, if you wanna lose your mind. Oh, come and get it. Come and get it.
Okay, well, I still have not figured out how to get the video to actually show up on YouTube. Welcome everybody to Frequency on the first day of June 2000. Gee, I'm still trying to learn how to work all these wonderful, wonderful things that they have here on Hangouts and YouTube to get everything displayed. And I'm just, I'm running up against some brick walls. So maybe some of you folks that have done this before get in touch with me and let me know what in the world I'm not, I'm not poking correctly here. There's some buttons I'm not poking. But at least I've got my picture up on the screen now, it looks like. But the video did not play. I think you got to hear the music. Thanks, and V and J for all joining me here today. Trying to relax with this a little bit more. I watched my video back a couple times from the other day, and I did get out some good information. I looked like I was stiff as a board, It was extremely humid here. My hair went flat. Um, but it was my first one, so I guess I didn't do too bad. I didn't freeze or panic, and I did have some things going on here while I was trying to do that show that would have made any sane person probably lose their mind. There was several little glitches that took place, and maybe it didn't look too apparent on the video. I hope not. But I've been wanting to do a second video here to try to relax a little bit with this and maybe get a little bit of information out on some things that I've heard recently in the news, to try to get some things out to people that maybe they hadn't heard about, or maybe they have heard about and just didn't have a whole lot of information on, or wanted to maybe voice their opinion in chat or something about it. One of the things that I heard the other day was about the little boy at the Cincinnati Zoo. He's either 3 or 4 years old. I've read several articles about it. Some of them say he's 3 and some say he's 4. But he fell into the gorilla pit at the Cincinnati Zoo. And the zoo officials called in the 2 female gorillas that were out in the exhibit. They came on in, but the male gorilla was 17 years old, and he didn't come in. He wanted to protect his environment a little bit there, and so he went into investigating this child. And I guess he kind of flung him around there in the display a little bit, and the zookeeper shot the gorilla. 17-year-old silverback male gorilla that they'd had there at the zoo, and he was quite the exhibit. And there's a lot of people that's really grieving over the loss of that animal, and it was a very majestic animal. Happened, but he was well over 400 pounds, and he was a wild animal, and he was very capable of protecting his environment at all costs. And a 4-year-old child would not be any match for a gorilla, and in order to save the child's life, it had to be done. One of the things that's come out in the news about this is a lot of people really having fits over shooting the gorilla, saying that it wasn't necessary to shoot the gorilla. But if the gorilla could not be controlled, if he wouldn't come in when he was called and that child was out there, I don't know that they had a lot of choice. But the big problem here, I think, is where was mother? Now, the articles I have read about this say that she was there at the zoo, the parents were at the zoo, and they had a whole bunch of kids with them, and the other kids were creating some kind of a distraction. And this little 4-year-old wanted to get down in that exhibit because there was a water feature down there, and he kept hollering he wanted to get in the water, And the people there that was at the exhibit saw this child acting up and trying to crawl over the fence, crawl through the fence and everything else, and nobody grabbed him and stopped him, because everybody's afraid of touching somebody else's kid. So the kid got away, got through the thing, and fell down in the gorilla pit, and then all this trouble ensued. And the child is alive. They sent him to the hospital, and he's going to make it, but the gorilla obviously did not. So I have a real issue about the parents. I know it's easy to get distracted when you got kids and all that, but you can't let things like that happen. I mean, you know, that's a devastating blow to the zoo. The gorilla exhibit is closed until further notice, until all this dies down. They figure out how to fix the enclosure so that people can't get through it, and children can't get through. They thought they had it fixed good enough so that you could actually see the exhibit, and I'm sure that they never dreamed in a million years that somebody wouldn't watch their kid good enough to let it get in the pit. But that's one of the things that I've had on my mind is watch your kids. And for crying out loud, if you see a kid that's about to get in harm's way, I don't care if it's running out in the street or what it is, and it's not your kid, grab that kid. We'll deal with all the consequences of it after. But stop the insanity here. If you got to grab one to get it out of harm's way, grab it. My goodness gracious, I don't know. I mean, common sense is just kind of flown out the window. You know, I'm not going to touch this kid and let him go and crawl into this pit with this gorilla. I don't understand the mentality of that. So that's one of the things I had on my mind. And then I believe that it was Lynx the other day brought something up, and so I article about it. And let me see if I can find that here. It is about the administration's rule about the bald eagles and the well, let's see, I didn't want to do that. Let me try this. Show topics. Yeah, the new administration rule would permit thousands of eagle deaths at wind farms. And I'll read this to you. It's not real long here. The Obama administration is revising a federal rule that allows wind energy companies to operate high-speed turbines for up to 30 years, even if it means killing or injuring thousands of federally protected bald and golden eagles. Under the plan announced Wednesday, companies could kill or injure up to 4,200, that's 4,200 bald eagles a year without penalty, nearly 4 times the current limit. Golden eagles could only be killed if companies take steps to minimize the losses. For instance, by retrofitting power poles to reduce the risk of electrocution. Fish and Wildlife Services Director Dan Ash said the proposal will provide a path forward for maintaining eagle populations while also spurring development of a pollution-free energy source that's intended to ease global warming, a cornerstone of President Barack Obama's energy plan. Ash said the 162-page proposal would protect eagles and at the same time help the country reduce its reliance on fossil fuels such as coal and such as coal and oil that contribute to global warming. There's a lot of good news here, Ash said in an interview, calling the plan a great tool for working to further conservation of 2 iconic species. The proposal sets objectives for eagle management, addresses how bird populations will be monitored, and provides a framework for how permitting systems fit within the agency's overall eagle management, Ash said. Wind farms are clusters of turbines as tall as 30-story buildings with spinning rotors as wide as a passenger jet's wingspan. Blades can reach speeds of up to 170 miles per hour at the tip, creating tornado-like vortexes. The Fish and Wildlife Services estimates there are about 143,000 bald eagles in the United States and 40,000 golden eagles. Wednesday's announcement kicks off a 60-day comment period. Now, this was last Wednesday, okay, so we're already a week into this. Officials hope to issue a final rule this fall. The plan was developed after a federal judge in California blocked a 2013 rule that gave wind energy companies a 30-year pass to kill bald eagles and golden eagles. The U.S. District Judge Lucy Koh, that's K-O-H, Koh, ruled last August that the Fish and Wildlife Services failed to follow environmental procedural requirements in issuing the 2013 directive. The agency classified its action as administrative change from a 2009 rule, excluding it from the full environment review. Now, there's way more, to go on with this, but the last paragraph says companies would be charged $15,000 administrative fee every 5 years for long-term permits. The fees would cover costs to the Fish and Wildlife Services of conducting a 5-year evaluation and developing modifications, the agency said. And this is off the Fox News Politics website. I'm not a big fan of Fox News, but that's where I found this article. So there's the information on that bald eagle thing that Lynx was talking about. And I'm going to look over here in chat, see if there's anybody that's got any questions or anything on any of this. Okay, Falcon asked, why are parents being blamed for the killing of the gorilla? If a child can wander into the enclosure without too much effort, and the zoo staff decided the best option was killing. Well, they didn't want to be sued for the death of the kid, I'm pretty sure. That's probably why they killed the gorilla, but why are the parents being blamed for the killing of the gorilla? Because the parents weren't watching their kid. Kids get out and just run wild and do as they please, and parents don't watch them, get them under control. But now that's just my 2 cents worth. I've seen plenty. Jay's got a good point there, where their kids don't run away from her in public. You got to keep the kids under control. My goodness, I mean, if you care about the safety of your child, you're not going to let it crawl into a gorilla pit, for goodness sakes. I mean, just think about that for a minute. Do you love them or not? I've heard plenty in my time about, why don't you go out and play in traffic, but it wasn't serious. You don't send your children in harm's way if you care anything about them. That's my take on the gorilla thing. They're probably going to get sued over the loss of that animal. I've read a couple articles about the zoos thinking about that, so it'd be interesting to follow that and see where that goes. But I had another little thing that I heard this morning, and I don't know how many of you might subscribe to JSNP4 on YouTube, but I find him very interesting, some of the things that he comes up with, and I was listening to him this morning, and he came up with a good one that came out on Zero Hedge, which is a site where they talk about all things financial. And I'll pull that little article up here. But the bottom line on that one is that Alan Greenspan, some of you may know who he is, some may not. So I'll tell you, he is the former chairman of the Federal Reserve. The last 4 chairmen were Volcker and Greenspan and Bernanke and Yellen. You probably all heard those names, whether you knew who these people were or not, but they're chairman of the Federal Reserve. And Alan Greenspan, former chairman of the Federal Reserve on Zero Hedge, predicts that the Venezuelan chaos will come to the USA. If anybody has been following what's been going on in Venezuela, that should make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Their whole economy down there has collapsed. The stores are empty. There is no food. People are killing dogs and cats and rats and whatever they can find to kill for food. They printed money by the truckloads. You have to have a wheelbarrow full of money if you want to try to buy anything down there, and it's worthless. It's like our currency. It's fiat currency. There's nothing to back it. I was watching one video about restaurants down there just to have a little page in their menu where they can switch the prices every day, because prices just keep going up. They can't print menus, daily to cover the cost of food, so they just have a little thing they tape over the prices every day on the menu. But yeah, Greenspan, former chairman of the Federal Reserve, predicts that Venezuelan chaos will come to the United States. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it our president that just said here a while back that anybody who says that things are not well with our economy is peddling fiction? Now, who are we supposed to believe? Former chairman of the Federal Reserve who deals in this, who has been involved with the Federal Reserve and our money, or the president? So I'm just confused. I think I know which one I'm going to believe. And I think I know which one you all better believe. And you better be getting prepared, because I don't think this is going to be pretty when it plays out. So that's something you might want to look up. Look up Zero Hedge there, or go to Google and type in Alan Greenspan, and it'll pop up there. Alan Greenspan Zero Hedge, because that little tidbit just came out yesterday. Another thing that kind of struck me, Volcker, Greenspan, Bernanke, Yellen, all 4 of them are Jewish. there's a connection for you, little link. So with that, I think I'll close down the video for today, but that might be something that you want to research a little bit and think about and get your preps ready. If you haven't been prepping, you need to prep. You need to start getting a little food laid in because you might get awful hungry before this blows over. And you might want to lay in a little ammunition because if you've got anything to eat, you might need to protect it. Just a thought. So I hope you all enjoyed this one. I'm a little more relaxed with it, but I still have to figure out how in the heck to get that intro to play. Good grief. Can't be that difficult. Links can do it. Y'all have a good day.